Everyone was shocked. If she's telling you that she feels it's a sacrifice to do everything for you to be able to learn and to bring up a family.
Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rebbe Saf Aaron Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah, packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
Shalom Uvracha. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Terumah, we know that the Torah describes all the kelim to do with the Mishkan, the Aron, the Shulchan, the Menorah, the outer Mizbeach, and how the Mishkan itself was constructed. It's very interesting to note, and perhaps we'll say a Dvar Torah about this next week, that only in the next Parsha, Parshas Tetzaveh, the Torah will discuss the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the Mizbeach HaZav, the golden altar. But today I want to show a strong contrast between the Mizbeach HaChitzon, the outer altar, which stood in the Chatzer, in the courtyard of the Mishkan, as opposed to the Mizbeach HaPnimi, which is also called the Mizbeach HaZav, the inner altar. There's a very strong contrast between the two. The Mizbeach HaChitzon, the outer altar, it stood in the outside the courtyard, under the open sky. It was built from simple stones and nechoshet, copper. It had no crown, nothing representing a keter, a crown, upon it. And it was used for the Kohanim to offer korbanot, animal sacrifices on it. In contrast to that, the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the inner altar, stood inside the Kodesh, the holy chamber of the Mishkan, directly in front of the Kuvim, just steps away from the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the holiest place in the Mishkan. Was created entirely from pure gold, and it had something that represented a keter, a crown, a golden crown, and it was used to create an unbelievable smell. The Kohanim burnt the Ktoret on it, the fragrant incense, every day. What does this stark difference say to us? We know that the Torah is written not just a history book, but there's always something that we can take away from. I saw an unbelievable idea that I would like to share with you. Of Shimshon Pinkus, in his Sefer Tiferes Shimshon, says that he heard this when he wrote the book 40 years ago from a big person that spoke about the Parsha. And he says something beautiful. He says there are two types of Jews out there. They're both Yirei Shamayim, God-fearing Jews, and they want to do the right thing. They both daven, they both keep Shabbos, they perform mitzvahs. But the difference is the following. For one type of Jew, let's say Jew type A, every time he does a mitzvah, he feels like it's a korban, it's a sacrifice for him. It's difficult. They serve Hashem because they have to. They understand it's an obligation, and that is what they need to do. They're God-fearing Jews. It's done though out of fear, out of duty, not out of simcha and joy. You see a kvetch on their face. You don't see a smile on their face when they're cleaning for Pesach, when they're creating Mishloach Manos on Purim, or fasting on Yom Kippur. As opposed to the Jew of type B, is completely different. When he does a mitzvah, he realizes what the mitzvah is. He connects to it. He has a shine to him, a smile on their face, as if they won the lottery every time they do a mitzvah. At the Leila Seder, they kiss the matzahs before eating them. Tefillah is sweet for them. They're enjoying it. They're connecting to Hashem. If we have to summarize the difference between them, one is avoida chitzoinis. They're oived Hashem, but on an external level. And hence, that is hinted by giving sacrifices, because that's how this type of Jew is. He feels like everything's a sacrifice. That's the external Mizbeach, because it's an avodah external, chitzonius, as opposed to the Mizbeach HaZav, which represents the Jew of type B, which is a person that works from internally with neshama connecting to Hashem, pnimius. He connects to the mitzvah. He values the mitzvah. And hence, the Mizbeach HaZav, the person that works from pnimius, that is represented by pure gold, by incredible smell, by being closest to the holiest place, as opposed to the Mizbeach HaChitzon, which is far out, not even really, also only in the courtyard, made of simple stones and copper, not even silver. That is the difference. Are you working mi'ahava from pnimius, or out of fear mi'irah from chitzonius? I once heard from someone in the name of Rav Dessler. He's saying, what defines a true Ben Torah? He says it's not the amount of hours they learn a day, or the amount of fast they take upon themselves Mondays and Thursdays. A true Ben Torah is someone whose eyes glitter when he learns or when he performs a mitzvah. You look at him, it's as if he's a jeweler analyzing diamonds. This reminds me of a friend who went on Shidduchim and came running to tell our Mashgiach, I think I finally found the perfect person to get married to. He rushed to the Mashgiach and said that, and he kept on saying why. He said, she wants me to learn a full day, and she wants me to also, she has amazing midot, and she's willing to sacrifice everything for me to be able to learn. It's the best combination. And the Mashiach said, I'm not so sure this is what you're looking for. Everyone was shocked. So was my friend. And the Mashgiach explained to him, if she's telling you that she feels it's a sacrifice to do everything for you to be able to learn and to bring up a family in the ways of Yiddishkeit, then she doesn't really feel how amazing and what an opportunity it is. If she feels it's a sacrifice, that in itself is a problem. And through this we can understand, how do we get to a point to be Oved Hashem from Pnimius, out of Ahava? And that is if we realize why a mitzvah and learning Torah are actually real diamonds. Only when you realize the opportunity HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to be in this hallway, to reach the eternal world, what it means to connect to Hashem through doing a mitzvah, what it means that we're sustaining all the worlds that Hashem created by every mitzvah we do, then we'll do it as if we're really counting the jewels we have. There's a very famous mashal, the Magid Midubna, of Yaakov Krantz, and he says, this is one of the mashalim, one of the three mashalim, one of the three parables that the Kotzker Rebbe said, it's mamash emes, it reflects the truth. Two merchants arrived at the same inn one night, a diamond merchant and a metal merchant. Each had someone carry their suitcase. When they arrived, the diamond merchant paid his person a small sum, and the porter was upset. Why did you pay me so little? I worked so hard dragging your heavy suitcase. The merchant smiled and replied, if it felt heavy to you, then it wasn't my suitcase you were carrying. My suitcase is filled with diamonds. A person who knows he is carrying diamonds doesn't feel the weight. He feels the privilege. This nimshal is so powerful. It's exactly what we're saying. A suitcase filled with diamonds and a suitcase filled with scrap metal may weigh the same on a scale, but they don't weigh the same in the heart of the one who carries them. If Avodas Hashem feels like a heavy burden, perhaps we don't truly understand what we are carrying. We are carrying diamonds, but we think, unfortunately, sometimes it's scrap metal. Before I end with the story, I think the takeaway over here is to learn about Yiddishkeit, why Hashem created the world, why we're here, like the introduction to Mesilas Yesharim and books of that type that really tell us what life is all about, and it helps us value what we're doing here. It gives meaning to what we do, and that will help us get to a point to be Oved Hashem Mipnimius. I would like to end off with a story by Rabbi Yeshua Nissan. It's an unbelievable story that happened many years ago, and I think it brings out the point we're saying. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Herman, who was once decided to move his entire family to Eretz Yisrael. They put all of their belongings on a boat and began the journey. Everything they owned was pretty much on that ship. Unfortunately, the boat encountered difficulties and had to take a different route, delaying them by several days. They finally pulled into the dock in Eretz Yisrael on a Friday afternoon, only a short time before Shabbos. Rabbi Herman told the officials they needed to be processed immediately so they could leave. The officials said he had to wait. His luggage had not yet been unloaded, but he insisted Shabbos was approaching. An official warned him, if you leave these items here unclaimed, the porters will take every single thing. Rabbi Herman replied, I don't care, I have to keep Shabbos. He insisted. They stamped his papers. He and his wife walked into Yerushalayim to spend Shabbos, leaving all of their worldly possessions behind. Those who were there described the incredible atmosphere of their Shabbos. Despite having just lost pretty much everything they owned, Rabbi Herman was ecstatic, beaming with joy. Throughout the day, he kept saying, Hashem, you do so much for me. I'm so happy to finally get the chance to do a little something in return for you. On Motzei Shabbos, his wife suggested they go back to the dock to see if anything remained. When they arrived, they found all of their luggage still there. A man was standing guard and asked, are you the Hermans? When they said yes, he explained, I was told to stay here and not let anybody touch your belongings. With that, the man left and everything was safe. But the true miracle is not ending. It's not this ending. The true miracle is the sentiment. Hashem, you do so much more for me, and now I have a chance to do for you. This is the happiest moment of my life. Rabbi Herman himself says, I don't know who that person was, Gabriel, an angel? I don't know what it was. But obviously, it's Yad Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu winking at him, saying, I could see that you're working from Pnimis. Yiratzon, that will take this lesson and be like the Mizbeach HaZav, closest to the holiest of holies, doing Avodas Hashem with a good smell, realizing what life is all about. and appreciating every chance we have to chaparai on another mitzvah. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of the Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.